Start thinking about your favorite non-stick frying pan. You know the one. You crack an egg into it, and it just glides. It doesn't stick, it doesn't burn. It slides right off because of that slippery protective coating. Now, imagine if you took a metal scouring pad and scrubbed that pan every single day. Eventually, that coating disappears. The egg starts to stick. The pan gets ruined. Welcome to Dr. Levitas. Here is the truth that very few people are talking about. Your blood vessels have that exact same coating. It is a microscopic, slimy force field that lines every single inch of your arteries, veins, and capillaries. When it is healthy, your blood vessels are like Teflon. Nothing sticks. Plaque literally cannot attach to the wall. Cholesterol bounces right off. But when this layer is damaged, your arteries turn into Velcro. They become sticky, they become inflamed, and that is when the trouble starts. Today, we are not talking about cholesterol numbers or blood pressure readings, at least not in the way you're used to. We are going deep into the microscopic world to talk about the endothelial glycocalyx. I know, it's a mouthful, but understanding this word might just save your life. This is the Teflon layer of your cardiovascular system. And the scary part? You can destroy it in minutes with a single meal. But the good news is, you can also rebuild it. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to get your non-stick coating back. And as we talk about it, please hit the like button and leave a comment. It really helps the channel with the algorithm. So, what exactly is the glycocalyx? If you look at an artery under a standard microscope, it looks like a smooth pipe. But for years, scientists were missing something huge. It turns out that smooth pipe is actually lined with billions of tiny hair-like sugar strands. Imagine a lush carpet of seagrass waving at the bottom of the ocean. That is your glycocalyx. This layer is incredibly thin, but it is powerful. It holds a gel-like water layer that prevents red blood cells and cholesterol from ever actually touching the cell wall. It houses enzymes that control your blood pressure. It even tells your blood vessels when to dilate and release nitric oxide to improve flow. Think of it as the gatekeeper. When this seagrass is thick and healthy, it acts as a shield. Inflammation cannot get in. But when we strip it away, we expose the naked artery wall underneath. Now, you might be asking, Doctor, what strips it away? The first enemy is high blood sugar. And I'm not just talking about full-blown diabetes. I'm talking about chronic, elevated glucose spikes. When you have excess sugar floating in your bloodstream, it doesn't just sit there. It initiates a process called glycation. Think of this like sugar coating the proteins in your body, but not in a good way. These sugar molecules act like liquid sandpaper. Research published in Circulation Research way back in 2007 showed us that acute hyperglycemia, that's a sudden spike in blood sugar, can significantly reduce the volume of the glycocalyx. It literally shears off those protective hairs. Once those hairs are gone, the Teflon is gone. The vessel wall becomes sticky. Now, LDL cholesterol, which would normally flow right past, gets trapped in the wall. White blood cells attack it. Inflammation explodes. This is the birth of plaque. It's not just about having cholesterol, it's about having a sticky wall that catches the cholesterol. But sugar isn't the only culprit. There is something else that many people consume every day that can flatten this layer in under an hour. I want you to listen to this closely because it changed how I look at cheat meals. Let's talk about sodium. We know excess salt can raise blood pressure, but the mechanism is fascinating. A pivotal study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that within just 30 minutes of a high-sodium meal, the arteries stiffen and the glycocalyx is damaged. Why? Because sodium draws water. It disrupts the delicate gel structure of that seagrass. It dehydrates the protective layer, causing it to collapse. Imagine that seagrass again. If you drain the water, the grass falls flat against the sand. It can't protect anything anymore. That is your artery after a massive sodium bomb. The result is that your blood vessels lose their ability to relax. They constrict. Your blood pressure shoots up because the very machinery that regulates it, housed inside that glycocalyx, has been temporarily knocked offline. Now, here is the most frustrating part for both patients and doctors. You can have a damaged glycocalyx, you can have this sticky vessel syndrome, and yet pass your stress test with flying colors. Why do traditional heart tests miss this? Because most standard tests, like an angiogram, are looking for big blockages in the big pipes. They are looking for a 70% or 80% clog in a major artery. But the glycocalyx is microscopic, and it lines not just the big arteries, but the 50,000 miles of tiny capillaries in your body. This is what we call the microvasculature. When the glycocalyx sheds in these tiny vessels, you get what we call microvascular dysfunction. The big pipes are open, but the tiny delivery roads are broken. This can cause chest pain, shortness of breath, and fatigue. Yet the doctor looks at the angiogram and say, "Your arteries look clean." They aren't clean. The protective lining is gone, and the tiny vessels are starving your heart of oxygen. It's invisible damage until it becomes a visible crisis. Okay, take a deep breath. I know that sounds scary, but here's the beauty of the human body. It is resilient. It wants to heal. The glycocalyx is dynamic. It is constantly shedding and constantly rebuilding. If you stop the damage, you can help it grow back. So, how do we rebuild the slime? How do we get our Teflon back? It comes down to the building blocks. The glycocalyx is made heavily of something called heparin sulfate. To make this, your body needs specific raw materials. And the king of these raw materials is sulfur. We aren't talking about the yellow dust from a chemistry set. We are talking about dietary sulfur. First on your list, garlic and onions. These are powerhouses of organosulfur compounds. Not only do they provide the building blocks for the glycocalyx, but studies suggest they also help reduce the inflammation that destroys it in the first place. When you crush garlic, you release allicin. This compound is fantastic for your endothelium. Try to add fresh garlic to your meals daily. But let it sit for a few minutes after chopping before you cook it. That activates the enzymes. Also, don't overcook it, since high heat may smash the beneficial compounds. Next up, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and cauliflower. These contain sulforaphane. Sulforaphane is like a signal flare for your antioxidant defense system. It triggers the NRF2 pathway, which essentially tells your cells, hey, protect the lining, rebuild the walls. And do not underestimate the power of simple hydration and movement. Remember, the glycocalyx is a gel that consists largely of water. If you are chronically dehydrated, that gel dries out. Drink your water. And movement? The sheer stress of blood flowing briskly, like when you're walking or jogging, actually signals the endothelial cells to produce more glycocalyx. It's a use it or lose it system. The more you use your vessels, the better the coating gets. So here is the doctor's verdict. Let's put this into a plan. We want to avoid the sandpaper of high sugar spikes. We want to be mindful of massive sodium bombs that shock the system. And we want to flood our body with sulfur-rich vegetables to rebuild that protective slime. I want you to remember this image of the non-stick pan. Health isn't just about unclogging the drain. It's about maintaining the pipes so they never clog in the first place. You have the power to protect this invisible shield. It doesn't require expensive medication or impossible diets. It requires eating real food, moving your body, and treating your blood vessels with the respect they deserve. You are building a body that is resilient, slippery to plaque, and strong. Don't wait for a test to tell you something is wrong. Start rebuilding your Teflon layer today. If you found this helpful, I have a challenge for you. For the next week, try to include one sulfur-rich food in your dinner every single night. Garlic, onions, broccoli, your choice. Your arteries will definitely thank you. Watch this video suggestion. It was especially picked for you. Also share, comment, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. It helps a ton with the algorithm. Remain tuned for future videos to empower your health and fitness journey. So, stay healthy, stay happy, and keep going.